Thursday, 29th June 2021. Coming to you live from Lagos, Nigeria. This is Breakfast Central.
The African continent is awake and ready to go. Welcome to the colorful breakfast show on the Ebony continent. Now, this is Breakfast Central, and of course, this is the penultimate day in the month of June 2021. I am Oluchi Inabong.
And I'm Olisa and Good morning, Africa. We are reaching you live from our studios in Lagos, Nigeria. So many stories from across the African continent and indeed beyond, not forgetting all the big sports from last night. But let's bring you the latest when it comes to the headlines today on the program. We'll take you to Ethiopia, where the government has declared a ceasefire in Tigray after rebel forces took the capital yesterday.
And we will be talking about the insecurity in Africa's leaders meet in Rome.
Plus, the real causes for hair loss for men and women. I have to check my bald head for that.
And we will be giving you newspaper review across the continent.
So the trends across Africa from different platforms. We'll tell you all about it.
All right, let's begin the program this morning with a review of the major newspaper headlines. And we're starting with the Daily Trust this morning in Nigeria, and the Daily Trust has quite a number of information there. The very big one we have is restructuring. ACF puts northern lawmakers on alert. That's what the Daily Trust is saying this morning. You can get more information on that from page 4 of the Daily Trust this morning. New revenue sharing formula ready this year. That's what the federal government is coming to tell the major lawmakers and everybody who is interested in the sharing formula, talking about the national cake in Nigeria. Also in the Daily Trust, you have road crashes kill over 2,000 Nigerians in 4 months. It's quite a sad one there. You also have in the paper from Daily Trust, tension in Lagos as Igboho insists on July 3 being Yoruba Nation Rally. Wow. That's what it says there. What's going to happen? I mean, July 3 is just days away as we speak, but you can get more from the Daily Trust in Nigeria this morning.
All right, so let's go down south to Zimbabwe in the southern parts of Africa with the Daily News paper in that country, Zimbabwe. So it's all about coronavirus, just like the neighboring South Africa. Cabinet considers national lockdown in Zimbabwe as COVID threatens to spiral out of control. We know that South Africa is in their third wave. And yesterday, the government confirmed with Ramaphosa a 4th level of lockdown. So it looks like Zimbabwe might be following suit. And Alliance Bulawayo province still aflame. So all about Bulawayo province. Find out more on that story on page 2 and inside. And also at the top left there, talks about trespassing. Nabbed at airport, granted a $4,000 bill. Why and how was a picture of a young lady there. Find out all that and more on the front page of Daily News in Zimbabwe.
All right, moving from the Daily News this morning, we're going to Tanzania. We're looking at the Citizen's paper this morning. And of course, the Citizen's paper, it's all about Samir, talking about her first 100 days in office. And she's coming out to tell people, look, you guys need to take a chill pill because we need to look at the economy. So in the paper, the Citizen, it says Samir economy first. You have more information on that in the paper this morning.
So she's made 100 days, right?
Yes, she's done 100 days. And
already?
then, people are now looking at it and they need to look at the performance and what she's accomplished. And she's telling them, I will do all that needs to be done to bring the economy back. Yes, so you have more papers and more information on that in the Citizen paper this morning. Also in the Citizen, you can see here, you have a lot of people seated. They're talking about the Tanzania's economic growth, because as of last year, it was about 4.8% as against the projection they had, which is about 5.6%, and they're blaming this all on the COVID-19 pandemic. Also, still in the papers, the East African country has brought out its budget for 2021 and 2022, and it has presented $91.7 million as the budgets for the year. You can get more of this from the Citizens this morning.
All right, so Zimbabwe, I'm going to South Africa straight. It's all about COVID-19 and lockdowns and, and other levels there, lack of booze and vaccination. So straight we go to the Sowetan in South Africa. That's the next paper we'll be taking right here on Breakfast Central. If we have that, it talks about vaccine in South Africa, dumped, couldn't save lives. So those are some of the big stories on the front page. So there you have it now. Yes, vaccines in South Africa, dumped, couldn't have saved lives. So there is this growing trend. I hope you can look at this in a couple of days. Africa has received the least vaccination programs and doses.
4%.
Yet, expired and wastage, and we are dumping them. So we'll know what to talk about. And talks about vaccinology gurus say government rushed to get rid of AstraZeneca vaccines, which has proved to be potent against the Delta variant of COVID-19, now wreaking havoc. So it's a dilemma going down between the vaccinations. All right, so also at the bottom, it talks about new war over next ruler of the Bapedi people. Also a game changer in war on unemployment in South Africa, plus there's sports there. Champions League heroes await new deals. That is the Kaizer Chiefs. All of that on the front page of the Sowetan in South Africa.
All right. So it is still June 29 in 2021, and that is it for the newspaper headlines. It is now time for our top stories.
All right, we go to Ethiopia. Big news there this morning. The government has declared a ceasefire in war-torn region of Tigray as rebel fighters claimed control of the regional capital Mekelle yesterday. Now, residents reported scenes of jubilation with thousands of people in the streets waving flags and setting off fireworks.
Now, the Ethiopian government has not confirmed the loss of the city nearly 8 months after its forces ousted the Tigrayan rebels amid the conflict that has pushed the region into a deep humanitarian crisis. Now, according to the United Nations, more than 5 million people are said to be in urgent need of food aid, with about 350,000 facing famine. And
it just comes after less than a week after Ethiopia also went to the polls in the parliamentary general elections last week, which Abiy Ahmed has been touted to win through and through. But let's bring on our East Africa correspondent, Abdinor Arden, who's been monitoring the situation out there in the region of Tigray and indeed Ethiopia in general. Abdin, good morning to you. Welcome back to Breakfast Central.
Good morning, Olu and Oli, and thank you for having me once more.
All right. Now, Abdinor, finally, at last, a ceasefire has been declared. But really, what are the implications of this ceasefire?
It is a huge relief for the region, which has been affected by the invasion of the desert of the locusts, the COVID-19 pandemic, the drought situation. I mean, a region which has been affected by various regions, and it hasn't been good since November 2020. And now this allows a huge relief for the region, also famous for agricultural activities, especially during this farming period, Olu.
All right, but the Tigrayan, the government itself, Abiy Ahmed's central government, have yet to, confirm or deny whether they've lost the Tigrayan region. This comes after months where they ousted these fighters, rebel fighters, who have then come back yesterday to reclaim the place. So reports about people jubilating. So this ceasefire, is it a bit tactical for them? Is it a case of not admitting, but also trying to be a bit, light-handed this time?
That word there you just used, Olisa, tactical, is the same that many analysts as well have been referring to the decision by the Ethiopian government. And it is also called a unilateral ceasefire, considering the developments in the Tigray region. But one thing the government has admitted is that there has been a humanitarian crisis, and it says its call that came on 28th, that's yesterday, is meant to bring relief to the humanitarian efforts. And then it says it has made calls previously to the TPLF, and unfortunately, there weren't any acceptance in terms of ceasefire. That's according to the Ethiopian government. But the other matter, Olisa, is that the election results have been trickling in, and the Ethiopian NEBE, the elections body, has been saying that it has received so far results of over 400 constituencies. Therefore, your guess might be as good as mine.
Right. Now we know that for the election that happened, some regions in Ethiopia were singled out and they did not participate fully in the election. But Abdul, we would like you to stay with us for this very next story.
All right, you're still watching Breakfast Central on News and Security in Africa. Yeah, the forefront of the discourse this morning. Now, foreign ministers from more than 40 countries met yesterday in Rome to discuss the growing threat of Islamic State, IS group in Africa. Now, while IS has suffered territorial defeat in Syria and Iraq, the influence of this jihadist group is really growing on the African continent with the region called ISWAP, Islamic State of West Africa.
Now, Italy says IS poses a serious threat for the security of the Mediterranean, while Britain will pledge more funding to tackle the IS affiliate in West Africa, which has been responsible for violence in Chad, Cameroon and Nigeria. Now, this comes just after Boko Haram fighters pledged allegiance to rivals of the Islamic State West African province, which is ISWAP, weeks after the former group's leader was reportedly dead.
All right, we're joined by public affairs analyst Collins Weke, who returns this morning to Breakfast Central alongside our East Africa correspondent Abdul Arden. Gentlemen, thank you very much for sticking with us on this one on Breakfast. Collins Weke, good to have you back. Collins, let's start with you. You've been monitoring some of these bilateral talks and so on. Do we have any update from that meeting yesterday in Rome between these foreign leaders, 40 of them, to discuss Islamic State in Africa?
Well, thank you, Olisa and Oluchi, for having me. Essentially, the update is that the foreign ministers used the occasion of the meeting of yesterday, the first actually in 2 years. I mean, in terms of physical meeting, I understand that they have been meeting, virtually, but this is the first, real meeting in person in 2 years. And so it was time, first and foremost, to, rededicate themselves to, the initial commitment of acting together comprehensively in a coordinated way to actually defeat Daesh and ISIS. So that is, the overall objective. But of course, they also use the opportunity to fine-tune, some of the tools that are meant to be deployed in doing the work that they want to do. Part of which is actually expansion of the group. You would be interested to know that a number of new members joined the coalition. Democratic Republic of Congo, Central African Republic, Mauritania, and I believe Yemen. Now, the essence of this, of course, is to spread their tentacles and ensure that they prevent the ISIS and other terrorist groups from forming what they call the territorial enclave. So those are actually the updates, and a number of actions are planned. I believe that in the course of the program, I will be able to highlight some of the key actions going forward.
Right. Now, clearly, this is a serious international threat for international leaders to come together to find a lasting solution to the insecurity happening in Africa. Now, Abdul, just a few days ago, we saw a video where Boko Haram insurgents pledged allegiance to the Islamic State group. Some people have said that this calls for some worry. Does it really?
Yes, Olu, it really caused a huge worry. Away from Boko Haram, one thing that these activities have shown, speaking of the terrorism activities, we've also seen the spread of ISIS even to the East African region. Even some leaders in Somalia, in the Horn of Africa region, announcing allegiance to the Al-Qaeda affiliate group. Now, this new change in the leadership is something that has been witnessed before in these terrorist organizations. We've seen the same with Al-Shabaab, we've seen the same with Al-Qaeda, we've seen the same with ISIS. But it's a great cause of concern, as said by the meeting co-chaired by Secretary Blinken. And it therefore calls for the support they've really been announcing in order to avert another crisis from the group.
Yeah, gentlemen, it does seem that IS group, including the West African Province group, are really growing from strength to strength. And we're keen to know that what impacts will this meeting really have in tackling this situation. Gentlemen, let's not forget that the Sahel is perhaps the most critical region here, with borders the likes of Mauritania, Mali, where we've had French troops, for so long time, Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast, and northern Nigeria. Are we saying that with the rise of this IS group and ISWAP there, are we saying that it has got to that point where we've lost control, that even Boko Haram has lost control?
Well, the world has a major problem in their hands. And it is not for nothing that 40 foreign ministers, a global coalition, actually found it, very important to actually work together. That tells you that, it is causing a whole lot of headache. Like my colleague said earlier on, essentially, they are growing in strength, and somehow it looks like they are always one step ahead of, those fighting against them. So essentially, the purpose of coming together, and I hope it's not going to be lip service, and there are signs that it's not going to be lip service because they have actually also put money on the ground, made them, very significant pledges, and are also using their own contacts and connection to get the United Nations actually to step into this and, pass some resolutions at the Security Council. Now, these are all things that they are doing essentially to combine both political strength, but also numerical strength, as well as, finances, to be able to, counter them in the different parts of the world where they are. Because you see, they are spreading like wildfire.
Yeah.
And they are indeed targeting them wherever they are, hence the expansion as well.
Right. Now, Collins, you made mention of the United Nations, because according to the UN Development Program, now some 350,000 people have died as a result of this 12-year insurgency. I mean, looking at the number and the length of time that this has happened, and subsequently humanitarian crisis in northeastern part of Nigeria. It's an end. Is there an end in sight to this killing and destruction of property in the first place? Collins, to you first before happening on.
Well, the hope is that all of these efforts will culminate in a return to normalcy. Now, there is no fancy way of saying it, that it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. But one will expect that with a coalition of this nature, where they no longer work at cross purposes, where resources are, brought together, where there is a comprehensive strategy, and where also different countries identifying their own strengths and weaknesses, and then, taking specific responsibilities, in this fight. But most importantly, I think the flow of resources, the flow of cash to the terrorist group with this kind of global coalition I believe that it is one of their major targets to actually cut off the flow of funds so that essentially they will run dry, and then it will be much more difficult for them to, to get organized and finance their terrorist activities.
Well, thank you very much once again, Public Affairs Analyst Collins Wiki. Coming back on Breakfast Central, we're always so delighted to really have you, and we keep monitoring the proceedings out there with the gathering of those 40 leaders. And also to our East Africa correspondent, Abner Arden, for giving us the latest when it comes to the crisis in the Tigray region, although the government have declared ceasefire
at this point.
But are they admitting defeat in some way?
Well, if they're admitting defeat, we need to be very, very sure of what it is, because they haven't confirmed anything. They haven't confirmed yes or no to the situation at hand. But more important, I'm just particular about the statement that Collins said, which is, before it can get any better, it will still get worse. Are we prepared for that stage of getting worse? As it is, as we speak, it is a situation of a decry where people
even Boko Haram are overwhelmed. They are declaring allegiance to ISIS. Wow. Right, still Breakfast Central on News Essential. More top stories here. Now, Somalia executing quite a number of militants. The security officials in the country say dozens of people have been killed after militants attacked a small town in the central state of Galmudug early yesterday. Now, the attack started with the militants detonating a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device in an area close to a security camp in the town. Now, among the dead were civilian residents caught in the crossfire between militants and security forces in the town of Whistle.
Now, meanwhile, the Al-Shabaab militant group has claimed responsibility for the attack, saying it killed 34 members of the security forces. And at this point in time, a lot of people are coming out to ask questions about the militants and these attacks they have been doing all around in Somalia.
And that's another security problem out there on the continent. Also on Sunday, news about the explosion in DR Congo, which we heard that ISIS are trying to claim, I've claimed responsibility for that. So you have issues in Somalia. You have the Tigray crisis, region. In Ethiopia.
Democratic Republic of Congo is affected. We have Nigeria as well. So, I mean, this makes all these attacks that are happening in recent times, are they calculated? Were they done at, are they sequential? Because if you look at the timing, it's quite close.
And this is all happening between the Sahel region and the Central African region. But we still have a problem in the Southern African region, where the SADC region, which are the Southern Africa states, are coming together to see if they can send troops to Mozambique, to help out with the problems there, because you have rebel fighters, coming to fight. Are they with ISWAP? Are they with ISIS? Are they with Boko Haram? There is so much insecurity around the different parts of Africa, whether it's north, south, east, central, or west, that you're asking that. Isn't it time that there should be perhaps a one-front coalition from African governments in dealing with this situation, rather than having 40 foreign governments chaired by Italians and the Americans out there in Rome?
All right, but we are joined now by Joel Brooks, who is the CEO of Global News Network here in Liberia. Thank you so much for joining us, Joel. Hello, Joel, are you there with us?
All right, so we're trying to patch through Joel Cholo Brooks, CEO of Global News Network in Liberia, to give us the latest when it comes to security officials in Somalia, where dozens were killed. And we'll continue to follow that story. So insecurity in Africa featuring quite heavy this morning on Breakfast Central.
It's a big concern at this point in time. We don't know how we might end the year 2021. I mean, we started off pretty on a shaky note. This is, as we speak, we're almost at the middle of the year. This is the penultimate day in June. We're starting July, just a few days' time. How successful have the African leaders been in making sure that we end the insurgency in the continent of Africa?
Well, at the same time, there's a pandemic to still fight. So
I think right now we've all found a way to adjust amid the pandemic. We've all found a way to manage the situation. So at this point in time, people are coming out.
South Africa might disagree with you.
Yeah, but people are coming out to say pandemic is no longer an excuse. We need to find a way to make it work. Quite unfortunate.
All right, still more to come right here on Breakfast Central. Coming up next on the program.
We're talking about trends across the African continent with Elizabeth Musa.
Plus, Euro 2020, Magic Monday, full of goals, and yes, a French exit.
And we'll be giving you programs to watch on News Central.
Right, you're still watching Breakfast Central today, Tuesday, 29th of June, 2021. Now, let's talk about something that really concerns, or should be concerning me in a couple of years from now. Hair loss. Now, Africans, both men and women, is on the rise. And over the years, it has become one of the most devastating conditions because it's rarely taken seriously or even, treated professionally. But both men and women are suffering in silence, just like me sometimes. While some opt to accept their fate as it is, others are forced to resort to wigs, weaves, extensions, and at heavy prices, and all that things we do when we're going through hair loss, even surgery. Now, while the latter may provide a short-lived sense of fulfillment, it does not in any way solve the problem of hair loss. Now, prolonged neglect usually ends up at the point of no return, resulting in being completely scalp and bald. Now, hair loss can be genetically related, while in others it is a result of poor, absurd hair practices. Now, to really break down all of this, I'm joined by a very special guest. He's Dr. Otubanjo. He is the founder of Vinci Hair Clinic that has been helping many men and women restore their hair through clinical treatments. Now, welcome, Dr. Otubanjo, to Breakfast Central. Good morning.
You,
yes, first of all, I have to say, and this is no pun intended, I think you're representing the brand. In terms of when I look at your...
Well, that's a long story because personally, I've always liked this close shave to kind of look, right from when I was about 20.
I think I'm going towards your point of sentiment right now. All right, Dr. Otubanjo, you're a hair consultant. You've seen so many people. You've both men and women across the years. You've been in this field. So, well, I think what anybody would like to know, first of all, what is the cause of this hair loss for both, whether it's man or woman?
Actually, you've touched on a couple of the causes. I mean, there are genetic causes of hair loss. Okay. I mean, you've got to remember hair loss has been with us since...
Okay. So I can inherit it from my...
Yeah, you can inherit it from your mother's side or your father's side,
I hope they are watching.
So hair loss has always been with mankind, right from the biblical days. Okay. You remember Elisha in the Bible and all that.
But Samson was a lucky one, apart from Delilah.
Indeed. So you've got genetic causes of hair loss. But what is more insidious now is the hair loss that we find daily, which is caused by, like you said, practices, harmful practices in the salon. So that is really the concerning thing. The genetic one we can deal with, because you look at your family members, you know that there's probably a predisposition to hair loss, so you could do something about it. Funny enough, you can't prevent hair loss.
Okay.
Genetically. So if you notice around your family members, that there's a preponderance of males with balding, you think, as soon as you start feeling the signs, we come to us.
Okay.
I can actually prevent baldness.
All right, when they say come to us, you're a doctor, right? So if I have an eye problem, I go to an optician, right? Like, there's gynecologist, there's veterinarian, and all that. So what field can we say, whether specifically or unspecifically, for when I go to a professional for hair loss treatment? What do they call you guys?
Trichologist is usually the term that's
Trichologist.
Used. Trichologist
is
usually the term used, for people that deal solely with hair.
All right.
But then you don't need to be a trichologist to be a hair loss consultant. It's not a requirement, In fact, the trichologist can do a lot of the treatments that we as a medical aesthetic clinic can do. So,
all right. Yeah. When people experience hair loss, sometimes we do have this kind of, I'm going bald, but especially for men and women, like, they keep silent about it, why? Is there any way out of this? Is there a stigmatization with being bald, with society? Why do we have this certain clenched, emotion with hair loss?
It's a very, very personal thing, hair loss, because, you've got to really think of hair as the crowning glory. I mean, that's what, we've always called it. It's what frames the face. Hairline especially is what frames the face. And people have a sense of self-esteem.
So we just hide it.
Yeah, so there's a denial. There's a denial, initial. Oh, no, I'm not losing my hair. Wife will be telling the husband, you're going bald, darling. No, it's just the way my barber shapes my... 5 years later, Guys, already, his hair's receded, So there's a sense of denial. There's a sense of a loss of self-esteem, and psychologically, hair loss is a really big deal.
Yeah, especially when it comes to the gendered terms, because if it's a man, we can say, okay, we can throw jabs, though we hide as a personal thing sometimes, but for a woman, okay, so that's where it becomes a bit, tricky now.
Yes. And women have the luxury of having wigs and all manners of things to cover the hair loss, and believe me, the vast majority of women use wigs to cover their hair loss.
So when a woman is experiencing hair loss, what kind of reactions do you normally get when they come to you, your clients? What do they say?
Well, they come in a state of panic, for a start.
Okay.
In a state of anxiety, in a state of real despair, and I've seen so many cases, of women coming to the clinic and literally crying, because of the experience they've had in the salon.
Is there an age demographic to this, a specification of women?
There isn't. I mean, you could get them as young as 18,
A female hair loss at 18?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's the thing about this, hair loss in women and the result of things they do in the salon. We find a lot of salon workers are not really skilled. They're not really qualified, and they're not regulated to do their job properly. Because at the end of the day, what they want is to present the end result. Oh, look at you. Wow, brilliant. Now, what they've done to get to that end result could be a very problematic thing. 6 months, 1 year, 3 years down the line.
Okay.
So there isn't any regulation, especially in Nigeria. You wouldn't get away with a lot of these practices in the US or in the UK where I'm based.
Yeah.
So in Nigeria, there's a hard and fast rule. Oh, let me just put this in there. You look good, blah, blah, blah. You go over, oh, wonderful. 6 months later.
Or the use of some creams or hair
Precisely,
products.
Things that are inappropriate for the skin, or perhaps not being applied properly. But when you got people who are not, I don't mean to be denigrate them, but they can't even read. So simple instructions on the product says, do this and do that. Don't do this. They can't even do that. So, gives you the kind of problems that the hair styling or hair salon industry has. So there needs to be a lot of regulation and a lot lot of training
going
for
into
this
it.
salon
So it's not
workers.
just about knowing how to use clipper or hair. All right, so there's an interesting start, for viewers watching at home now. About 90% of African men say that their number one concern is hair loss, and about 64% of African women suffer from low self-esteem because of hair loss. Now, what's the first thing to do when we start experiencing hair loss, and can it be treated? What's the first thing we should do?
Absolutely.
When we,
First thing, don't be in denial.
Oh.
Don't be in denial. Come to someone like ourselves.
Okay.
We're specialists. This is what we do day in, day out. Come to ourselves. And the thing about hair loss is the earlier you actually notice the signs and you don't deny the existence of this thing, the easier and the less costly it's going to be for you.
Okay.
And the more effective whatever solution we prescribe will be for you. So it's all about making sure you really catch this thing early enough and come to a specialist that know what they're doing.
That's for people who really have a problem with it, and want to get it fixed. Well, for some of us who want to just just
I don't think anybody wakes up and say, "Oh, I want to go bald." No,
I still have plans.
They'll rather not go bald.
Someone like me who still has plans of having dreadlocks. Is there hope?
Yeah, of course, it's always hope. It's always hope.
All right, thank you so much for coming on the program.
No problem at all.
Dr. Ayo Otunbanjo, who is the CEO of hair clinics, Vinci Hair Clinics in Lagos and also around the globe, for coming on Breakfast Central and giving us some advice about getting a hand of trichologists to help us with our hair matter. Thank you very much once again on the program.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right, still Breakfast Central on News Central. You're watching the program, and we've got everything covered for you. And don't forget, you can follow us on social media. Well, let's leave Twitter for now. We're on Facebook still, Instagram, and also live stream us on YouTube. And catch us live on Star Times channel 274 and on Avo TV channel 23 and Freeview and on Vision channel 247. Well, the social media space was agog yesterday after Burna Boy was announced the winner of the Best International Act Award for the BET Awards. Now, aside that, there were more trends and that we saw. And Elizabeth Musa is here for the latest when it comes to Trend Wave. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Back, you're still watching Trend, New Breakfast Central on News Central. I'm getting ready for Trend Wave because I want to talk with Lizzie because I now know that, based on the conversation we just had about hair loss, that it is not a spiritual problem. Akwaya?
It's not. I need to tell my people they should stop telling people like me to go from one religious organization to the other.
Is everything going on?
This is well packaged though.
Oh my days! All right, we start off with Trend Wave, yes, and we've got Lizzie Musa to give us the latest. Lizzie, good morning to you.
Morning, Olisa, Oluchi. How are you guys today?
We're excited. We know that we know where to go now for our hair matters. So tell us what's the latest.
Do you have any problems with your hair? You seem to be really triggered by this.
Lizzie, let's keep our secrets behind.
Okay, first off, we start off our trend wave today in South Africa, where, of course, the President Cyril Ramaphosa on Sunday announced a level 4 lockdown in the country as a move to tackle the spread of the COVID-19 infection. This move by the government has been met with stiff resistance from the masses, as many believe that imposing another level of lockdown is not the solution. Now, as a matter of fact, the Economic Freedom Fighter, a Pan-African left-wing political party founded by Julius Malema and his allies, has asked South Africans to reject this lockdown as it's not a guarantee that there wouldn't be a fourth or a fifth wave of the pandemic. In this statement put out by the EFF, they say that until the clear-cut vaccination plan is rolled out, people need not comply with the rules because, according to experience, lockdowns and restrictions are not the best ways to contain the virus. Of course, as expected, people are reacting to this lockdown measures on social media with the hashtag Ramaphosa must fall. It's safe to say that the remote cause of this hashtag would be the dissatisfaction with the quality of governance, and then the immediate cause being his recent lockdown announcement. So, of course, this is gaining lots of reactions on the social media space, and we'll take a look at some of these reactions right now. That's one from Mr. Ansom. He says the only solution will be a march against lockdown. We have lost so much, we can't survive, and the depression rate is growing. Lockdown can never be a solution in a country with high unemployment rate and high cost of living. Ramaphosa must fall. And then let's take a look at some more reactions on this. This is from the mechanic. It says a national protest must happen, and this government is an insult to our democracy. Let's take it to the streets. Ramaphosa must fall. So, of course, the people are trying to go out to the streets now to start a protest on the street. Now, that's one from Gentlemen. It says the National Anti-Lockdown March, Ramaphosa must fall. It says stand up and take your freedom back. Lockdowns are against humanity. Ramaphosa's administration is killing us with hunger. Why are we subjected to these lockdowns when the ANC leaders continue to lose the funds meant to fight the virus? So that's how people feel right now. They think that it's beyond lockdowns right now. They think that the people, they think that their monies, the funds are being looted instead of, creating something to, cure this or the pandemic. They feel like they're getting looted. So that's also one from King Nathi. It says that nothing in sight. It says it's just vibes. That's how it feels. And, that's what's going on at the moment in South Africa. And that's one from Advolicious. It says that, there's lots of reactions on social media about this right now. That's all from Advolicious. So that's what's going on in South Africa at the moment. I'd also like to know something about the lockdown to the viewers out there. So there are 5 things I would like to note. First of all, schools are now begin close from the 30th of June. And travel to and from Gauteng is banned because it's believed that 60% of the infections are from there. And also gatherings are banned with from 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. and a curfew amongst others. So this is how the lockdown measures are going
Lizzie,
right now.
You
And
missed
of course,
one, Lizzie.
Lizzie, I think you missed out the most important
Very
part.
important one
Which
for a
one
lot
is
of
that?
people.
The sale of
Sale
alcohol.
The sale of alcohol. I
Yeah.
purposely tried to leave that out. We looked at a paper yesterday from the Sowetan where it actually highlighted that, and it's really big right now.
Once you ban the alcohol, well, yeah, like they say, hashtag Ramaphosa must fall. So there's an anti-lockdown, march that they are planning. Okay.
Yes.
Let's see how we go in South
And it's
Africa
supposed to
with
take
that.
place tomorrow, June 30th. That's what it says. All right.
All right.
Let's see how it goes.
What's still going on in the trends? Are we going straight to
Of course,
Ghana?
there's still lots of trends. First of all, I didn't tell you and other people congratulations on the sporting excitement yesterday with the win with France and Switzerland. Congratulations to you, Olisa.
We'll get to that. Congratulations, or did you sleep well? I've not slept.
So we moved quickly to Ghana, where a trending video of the Ghanaian socialite and entertainer Moesha Badong is trending. She professes her newfound love for Jesus Christ, and in this video where she, says this, people are reacting to it. That's a video of her right there. So quickly, I want us to take a look at a video where she also spoke regarding our newfound love for Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's it.
Support your girl. You're new. Now my name is not Moesha. My name is Mauricia Budon. Moesha is passed away. My real name is Mauricia Budon. From now, when you hear Mauricia, it's still me. It's still me. That is my name. That is the name on my certificate and my passport. Moesha was just like a showbiz name. So my real name is Mauricia Budon. Soon Instagram is going to update my new name, so you guys are going to see. So when you see any Mauricia on your feed, know that it's still your girl, Mauricia Budon. I'm so happy. God has done so many wonderful things in my life, and I can't wait.
So that's a before and after video of Moesha, or Mauricia as she now wants to be called. So you saw the picture on the side. That was how she used to look. That was how she used to dress. But now that she's given her life to Christ, that's her right now. So of course this is bound to get people talking, because some people are indeed amazed by this news, considering the kind of person she used to be. Some are in shock and disbelief. Others also believe that it's some sort of cloud chasing gimmick, in these days where people do lots of things. So now those are some of the reactions that people are making. This one says Moesha says she's now Mauricia, no more Moesha. 3Y3, I don't know. That's Ghanaian way of saying things, and there's more to that. There is also one from the powder guy. He says Moesha Badong is faking a new lifestyle to get married. Wow, I thought they said marriage is nothing. Shaking my head.
Wow.
And that's also one from Simiron. He says, soon you go, yes, Moesha has opened the church. Ghana and Kasa AB, comedy country. So that's how they feel. And that's finally one. He said, Christians laughing at Moesha Badong. So that's what's going on right now in Ghana. And that's the video that is getting the attention on the social media space. Olisa, you wanted to say something?
Well, I'm saying, happy for her. It's a personal, salvation is personal.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the economic implication to have on her, because she's going to lose some money somewhere.
Really?
So is it going to be a demonic thing now for her to lose the money?
All right. Well, thank you very much, Lizzie, Elizabeth Musa, for giving us the latest when it comes to the trend wave from South Africa, lockdown, and people are not happy, to Mauricia, I lost count this thing. But you're looking good in the green. All right, so up next.
Thank you, always a pleasure.
All right, up next is sports. Right, time for some sports now. So much to chew on. So where do we begin? All right, let's start with the big one with the Euros last night. We saw 2 matches, 14 goals, extra time and penalty shootouts. But it didn't favor the French. Yes, they lost out when it comes to penalties yesterday against that team at the Switzerland side. Kylian Mbappe missed the penalty as they lost 5-4 to the Switzerland side. It was quite a remarkable match. You have to say that man there, Jan Sommer, making the last penalty save after they had gone down in that game. Well, they scored first, the Swiss. Mbappe missing that penalty there. He was the last penalty taker for France, and that was how it ended. Seferovic scored the first goal for the Switzerland side to put them up front. Surprise, surprise against the French team, who then came back twice from that man there, Karim Benzema. Double goals before going out injured in that game. And we saw another strike from Paul Pogba, but the likes of Gavanovic scored 4 at the Switzerland side to make it 3-3, then go into extra time, and that's where it all happened. And there you have it. The France were knocked out in shock. So the France are out of it. Also last night, before the French game, we saw Spain against Croatia. Oh my gosh, what a game. Spain qualified 5-3. Yes, but they also went into extra time. That man there, the goalkeeper. Terrible on goal from Spain, and they were trailing just very early in the game, but they came back to also score goals. Croatia doing so well for themselves, the likes of Luka Modric, Ivan Perisic, and Brozovic, all playing football quite well for Croatia. But that man there finally scored a goal. Talking about Alvaro Morata for Spain in extra time. So they won that game 5-3. But let's check out the results for you when it comes to Euro 2020. So there you have it. Switzerland against France finishing 3-3, extra time and penalties 5-4, and 5-3 against Spain when it comes to extra time. So look at the number of goals scored yesterday. Massive. It was like if the god of football said, today is my day. All right, let's look at the matches for today. Big ones, England versus Germany and Sweden versus Ukraine. But the big game is England versus Germany. Old rivals. Remember the song of 2 World Wars and 1 World Cup? All right, let me not mention any team. Okay, but there you have it. England versus Germany, big one, and Sweden versus Ukraine. Last round of 16 matches for today. Also, when it comes to the world of tennis, Wimbledon has started. Not bad at all. So Wimbledon has started. We'll get to see a couple of Africans, the likes of Lloyd Harris, Kevin Anderson, will all be playing. So he's also through to the next round. Not bad against Marcelo Barrios, 7-6, 6-4, 6-4, 7-6. So he's through to the next round. He's from South Africa. That man there, Lloyd Harris, beat Ricardis Berankis 6-3, 6-4. But the game was suspended, so which means it will continue today. But all eyes will be on Africa's #1 woman in terms of tennis racket, Ons Jabeur. Will she qualify for the next round? She's informed. We'll just have to wait and see. And there you have it when it comes to the world of sports.
Right now, as you look out today to enjoy our news bulletin and rich programming content for the day, here are some programs for you to look out for.
There's Business Edge at 11 a.m. West African time. You don't want to miss it.
And at 1 p.m. and 8 p.m. West African time, we have Beyond the Continent.
Plus, NC Continental Prime at 9 p.m. Big news. All right, this is where we have to go. Yes, it's quite a busy day. Insecurity, hair loss, trend waves, sports, all Breakfast Central on News Central.
Stay here. We'll be here again tomorrow. On behalf of our production team, we say to have a lovely day.
Bye-bye.
At the mall.